Hi. Hello, good evening. Welcome back to Sports Today. You're live with me, Rajesh Gupta, of course, just about a few minutes away then from toss between India and Afghanistan. This is India's third game of the T20 World Cup 2021. It's been an abjectly disappointing tournament for India so far, of course, beginning with that 10-wicket defeat to Pakistan, then that 8-wicket defeat to New Zealand. India's batsmen have looked listless. There's been mounting criticism on the team, on the attitude, on the tactics, some of them bizarre strategies, and of course, the batsmen who looked literally timid and scared in that defeat to New Zealand. You could argue that on one side you could argue that India's batsmen faced the worst of the conditions. They lost the two toss matches. The dew became a factor. But listen, if you're looking to win a world tournament, if you're looking to become the most ruthless cricket team, the most successful cricket team in the world, you have to put all that aside. In fact, there's the experience of playing the IPL there. The last time the entire IPL was played in the UAE, half of this IPL was taken to the UAE after the first half had to be postponed because of rising COVID cases in India. So there's been plenty of experience for India in these conditions. There's been plenty of experience for Indian T20 cricket. But the fact is, this Indian team has failed to adapt to the modern game, to this format which is looking so easy for teams like Pakistan, England. In fact, South Africa have looked pretty good as well, and New Zealand. They are playing Scotland right now. There is, the Scotland is also showing some spunk against New Zealand even as I speak. In fact, last night Pakistan defeated Namibia, but Namibia, the way they fought against Pakistan has also won them several fans and several accolades. You saw the Pakistan team go to the Namibian dressing room and to congratulate the players on a very on a brave fight. But coming to Afghanistan, coming to India, this is obviously a must-win situation for India. Their semi-final, I can see a comment there. MKC45 says India are out of World Cup. Then how can they keep their chances alive? Well, technically, theoretically, India is still not out of contention for the semi-finals because yes, this their dash to the semi-finals has been taken away from them. It's beyond their control now. But what they can control is these three matches. These three matches against Afghanistan tonight, Scotland on Friday, and Namibia on Monday, 5 days from now. Not only that, how do they keep their chances alive? They have to ensure that they're beating these three teams by fairly significantly high margins. Because remember, India's net run rate is minus 1.6. Afghanistan have a pretty good net run rate, all thanks to that first victory for them. Resounding victory, that one really. They lost to Pakistan, but against Scotland and Namibia, Afghanistan registered pretty strong victories, as well as New Zealand. Then, could there be an upset with New Zealand losing to Afghanistan? They're playing Scotland now, they are playing Namibia next. And then on Sunday, New Zealand play the last league game against Afghanistan. So a lot of factors dependent on whether India can still make it to the semi-finals. But frankly, has this team looked good enough to compete at the World Cup? No, they've lost it. This was always going to be a three-way race in the second group with Pakistan, New Zealand, and India. India lost both their games to Pakistan and New Zealand. Up now, they are against Afghanistan. Coming to this game against Afghanistan, this is not going to be easy, right? Remember, Afghanistan have created some serious issues for Pakistan in the past. Yes, Pakistan won their game the other night, but it was pretty close. Asif Ali exploded with those 4 sixes in the penultimate over. When you think back to the 2019 World Cup face-off between Afghanistan and India 2 years back, it was the Afghans gave the Indian team a real scare there. In fact, Mohammad Shami picked up a hat trick. Just Bumrah produced a 2-wicket over in the middle against the run of play to dismantle Afghanistan's chase, but it looked pretty scary if you were an Indian fan at that stage. 223, 220 odd that India managed to put on the board, and Afghanistan nearly chased it down. They lost by only about 11 or 14 runs. It wasn't an easy victory for India, and they struggled against the spinners. They struggled against Rashid Khan, Mujib, Mohammad Nabi. So these three spinners, Mujib, of course, did not play in that last game for Afghanistan. He had a bit of a niggle. From what we understand, he was rested as a precautionary measure. But how India tackled the spinners again, I had said that in the past against New Zealand. It would all depend on how India fared in the power play, on how India took on Mitchell Santner and Ish Sodhi. They were very, very circumspect. They almost looked clueless against Ish Sodhi's wrist pin. He ended up winning the Man of the Match award. Mitchell Santner bowled four very economical overs. They had those same persistent problems against the left arm pace of Trent Bolt, like they did against Shaheen Afridi against Pakistan. So India have had these issues. Coming to their bizarre tactics, a lot of questions were raised on Rohit Sharma coming down to bat at number 3. Ishan Kishan, of course, was played because Surya Kumar Yadav had a back spasm just before the match. We were told Surya Kumar Yadav wouldn't play against New Zealand. And because Ishan Kishan was being played as an opener, they asked him to open alongside KL Rahul. They demoted Rohit Sharma from his usual opening position down to number 3. Now Rohit Sharma has scored all those runs, all those 400s in T20 internationals as an opener. He's known as one of the most destructive openers in the shorter formats. Virat Kohli, again, from his usual number 3, he demoted himself down to number 4. That certainly upset the apple cart there for India. Those tactics, right in the middle of the tournament, did that signify panic? Did that show a lack of clarity within the team? A lot of experts said that as well. A lot of former cricketers were shocked at what India did. First, the shot selection. Ishan Kishan, KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma almost holed out in the deep of the first ball that he faced. It was complete chaos. Virat Kohli, you've never seen, batsmen of these caliber play shots like that and just not making fight out of it. And then there was Hardik Pandya. He's, of course, he bowled an over. He bowled a couple of overs in that game against New Zealand. Shardul Thakur was brought in, did not look pretty good. Mohammad Shami has not looked potent at all. In fact, Jasprit Bumrah was the only bowler who made some sort of an impression in that last game. And the spinners again, Varun Chakravarti, he's done so well in the IPL for Kolkata Knight Riders, but that is clearly, it's his lack of experience in the international circuit is showing. Ravindra Jadeja, again, he's not quite delivered with either bat and ball. Yes, he did come and play a few shots in the end against New Zealand, but that was too little and too late. Was never going to really challenge in New Zealand with a total of 110 with 111 to chase down. Hopefully for India, they want to come back and consolidate that top 3: KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli. For me, that's the top 3. Even if you're playing Ishan Kishan, yes, he's understandably, you've taken him as an opener. There's the last couple of games for Mumbai Indians in this IPL. He did well. He came up the order, scored some runs, but you need these top 3. Like a lot of former cricketers said, the top 3 cannot be flexible. You have to have the regular men batting up the order. Those are very, very specialized positions in any format. So you need to let those 3 be. In talking of floaters, probably you'd want to experiment with Rishabh Pant or get Hardik Pandya up the order if he's playing, and if he's fit enough to play, might as well. And since you've almost gone around with him as a specialist batsman, might as well let him bat up the order at number 5 and number 6. If Ishan Kishan is too open, might still go alongside Rohit Sharma and have KL Rahul down the order. Because remember, KL Rahul has also done very, very well for India in the ODIs, at least, batting at numbers 4, 5. He's shown his potent abilities with the bat. So you'd want these guys to really buck up, pull up their socks, and put up a fight against Afghanistan. Right now, it's also a question of the spinners, like I said at the start of the show, how these guys tackle these 3 spinners: Nabi, Rashid Khan, and Mujibul Haq, if he's fit to play, if he's fit and available to play. India haven't had a great time against Rashid Khan. If you look at the top batters, apart from Ishan Kishan, by the way, who has had a lot of success against Rashid Khan. He's played him in 51 deliveries of 64, and he scored 64 balls. And this is, of course, the IPL, and these are T20 numbers. Rashid Khan hasn't played a T20 international against India yet, so this is going to be a challenge for these guys as well. Rohit Sharma, 19 runs of 16 balls. He's been dismissed by Rashid Khan twice. KL Rahul, 18 runs of 30 balls. He hasn't had he's just not been able to pick Rashid Khan. He's fallen to him three times. Virat Kohli, 21 runs in 24 balls. Rishabh Pant, 77 runs of 68 balls, but he's been dismissed by Rashid Khan twice. And Hardik Pandya, again, he struggled against Rashid Khan. 27 runs and 37 deliveries. He's been dismissed twice as well. So these are worrying signs. If you look at the general way India's top batters have gone against spinners, especially wrist spin, and Rashid Khan, he is arguably the best in the world. He can come and turn a game on its head. And Mujib, he's had a lot of success as well in the T20 World Cup, in the T20 format, and that guy can really pack a punch. And of course, don't forget Afghanistan's pace attack. Naveenul Haq, Hamid Hassan, who made a comeback into the T20 format after 5 years internationally, of course, and he had quite a game as well on his return. So India will be up against a very, very, very potent bowling lineup there against Afghanistan. The batsmen have not delivered in those two games, Pakistan, New Zealand. Imagine one of the front runners of the one of the front runners before the tournament, pre-tournament favorites to make it to the semi-final, and 2 games into their campaign, their whole journey to the World Cup semi-final now seems seems to be in tatters. They can mend it, of course. They can mend it, but like I said, it's been taken out of the control. Talking of the equation, I was just doing some rough calculation a couple of days back and looking at what India need to do to at least get that negative run rate up to 0 or in the positives. First off, if India batting first, they need to score about 200 runs and ensure that they're bowling Afghanistan out for 120, 18 overs or less. That's how they're going to get their net run rate up to 0.0, thereabout. And from then on, hopefully they can defeat Scotland and Namibia by big margins, but they'll also hope that New Zealand lose to Afghanistan and not by a huge margin, because Afghanistan, New Zealand, of course, they win all the remaining matches. They will go to 8 points and they will qualify for the semi-final alongside Pakistan from the second group. You'll also expect probably a couple of upsets here alongside. New Zealand, of course, playing Scotland right now. And they seem to be doing well. In fact, Scotland have gone to 81 for 3. They need 92 runs in 47 balls, chasing 173. They did put up a fight. It now looks like it's beyond Scotland, this total. But this is what I'm talking about. This is what India would be looking for. Maybe an upset here and there. And that New Zealand versus Afghanistan game on Sunday becomes very, very critical before India's match against Namibia on Monday, which will be the last league game of the T20 World Cup before the 2 semi-finals and the final. Can India make it? There are still plenty of external factors, not just India's results. But the fact is that this Indian team, do they deserve to be in the semi-finals? They have not turned up as a unit. They do not look like they're functioning as a unit. A lot of people are criticizing the IPL. A lot of people are criticizing other factors, administration. I think, look, this cricket team has got everything needed from the BCCI. You cannot blame the IPL, because New Zealand players have also been part of the IPL. Some of the England players have also played in the IPL and they've benefited from it. But how has the IPL benefited this particular team? Have they picked up informed players? Have they picked up players who have delivered regularly in the Indian Premier League? Have you got those players in your side? The answer is no. And this is where the team has struggled. This is where the team has looked really listless and clueless on occasions against Pakistan, New Zealand. Hopefully, they can turn it around against Afghanistan. Maybe forget everything about the semi-finals, forget everything about the way their campaign is going right now. Hopefully, they'll turn up and put up a much, much better batting performance against Afghanistan and show the world why they could be such a dangerous team in any condition. This is this is factually, this is about the way the Indian team has applied itself. This is about the way the batsmen have applied themselves. I've heard a lot of talk around BCCI. BCCI has done everything it can, right, to give them the best conditions to play in, to practice in. The IPL. Look at all these international cricketers who've been exposed to the IPL, who've played the IPL. Look at how they've performed. Look at Trent Bolt. Look at some of these Afghanistan players develop. Rashid Khan. He's played the IPL for so long, and now look at what a world beater he is. He is just he is playing for Afghanistan, not the strongest team in the world, but Rashid Khan turns up with the ball, and most batsmen around the world would be pretty worried about taking on a wrist spin on the quality of Rashid Khan. So there are no excuses really. There are no excuses for the way the team has gone about and played so far with their semi-final line hopes now on the line, clearly on the line. Very, very slim hopes, the slimmest of hopes now remaining for India. Now, the only thing that they can do, like I said, is to win these three games against Afghanistan, Scotland, and Namibia over the next 5 days. Three matches over the next 5 days. Win them convincingly, and hope there are a couple of upsets here and there for them to see a realistic sniff of a place in the semi-finals. Well, then that's that. We'll of course come back to you shortly around 7 o'clock with the toss, with the team updates, and we'll give you a lowdown of whether or not there are any team changes in the Indian team. Sunil Gavaskar on India Today, by the way, made a very significant and a very interesting suggestion, saying why not play three spinners? If you want to, get in some variety, you have Rahul Chahar, who, by the way, hasn't played yet, who hasn't played any of the two matches for India so far. There is R. Ashwin, if you need experience. Maybe rest one of Shardul or Shami for this game and see whether three spinners give you that extra edge. Whether Rahul Chahar or R. Ashwin can come and back up Varun Chakravarti and Ravindra Jadeja and create some extra variety in the bowling lineup. We'll see. We'll figure out what the changes are, whether Surya Kumar Yadav is fit to play, whether Mujib is fit to play against India. Was that a precautionary measure that Afghanistan took in the last game? Will they unleash him against the Indians tonight? We'll find out shortly enough, in 34 minutes from now. That's when I'll be back with you for the broadcast on the toss and the team updates. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Join me back. Please join me back at 7 o'clock. Meanwhile, do subscribe to Sports Today if you haven't already. See you soon.